Hi guys, welcome to Who is with D today. Today, in honor of my first podcast, I'm hosting my favorite person in the campus, Tom. Hi Tom, how are you today?
Hi Deniz, I'm pretty good. How are you doing today?
I'm good, thank you. I'm actually really excited about this first podcast.
I'm also super excited, and thank you so much for having me today.
Thank you for
honored.
coming here.
Oh, anytime.
I appreciate it.
Anytime.
So, Tom, today we're gonna talk about South Africa, and I will ask you some questions that I'm curious about.
Okay, so like in America, the USA got 50 states, and in South Africa we don't have states, we have provinces. And the province that I'm from is the Western Cape, and I'm actually just outside of Cape Town. So my mom and dad is actually divorced, and I grew up in the Dorans. It is a really small town it's like, I want to say it's like Crescent, but instead of like corn and cows, we have vineyards and wine. So it's really beautiful. And yeah, I grew up in the Dorans with my dad. And then I went to high school in Paul. That is where my mom lived. So Paul is, I would say, 40 to an hour outside of Cape Town. And that's super nice because over the weekends we would just go to Cape Town. It's a super nice city. And yeah, I also went to high school in Paul. And yeah, I stayed in the boarding school. And that is, yeah. Okay, no.
Well, that sounds really fun. So, do you think you can describe it a little bit for us? Can you put an image to our minds?
Yeah, okay, so I'll start with the Dorans. Like I said, that's the town where I grew up in. So the Dorans is actually, it's a small town. There's not much to do, but it's beautiful. Like, if you have time, you can go and Google it. You spell it D-E space D-O-O-R-N-S. So the Dorans is actually really popular for its grapes. My dad is also a grape farmer. What makes it popular is because I would say 90% of the grapes is exported to different countries. We don't really sell it locally. It goes mainly to China and countries in Europe. And yeah, so the Dorans is also surrounded by mountains. It's literally, you drive through a mountain, then it's like a valley. It's literally like in a circle. So there's mountains everywhere, rivers. It gets super cold in the winter, super hot in the summer. And yeah, when you exit the Dorans, you also drive through a mountain. So it's one bad thing is the signal isn't the best, but that's fine. And then Paul is Paul is a city, not the biggest city, but it is still a city. Paul is famous for its high schools. So I went to Paul Boys High. It's an all-boys school. And I had an awesome time there. We are the best rugby school in the world, which is really something I can flex on. And then, yeah, Paul is also really famous for its vineyards, but not normal grapes, wine grapes. And yeah, they're also really famous for wine tastings. So people all around the country come to Paul and do wine tastings because it's so beautiful and the wine is super good. And yeah, that's what I have about those two places.
That sounds really awesome. What would you say is your favorite thing about living there?
I would say my favorite thing was that it wasn't in a city because the rules wasn't so strict. My primary school I went to, we weren't a lot of students. We were like, I would say 80 in total in my primary school. But it was also super fun because we all knew each other well. During the weekends, we all would just come together. We would take our motorbikes and just go into the mountains. We will leave super early.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
You said you were in primary school,
Yes.
but you said you would take your motorbikes.
Yes.
How old were you?
I would say around 10, 12 years old.
Okay, because I think when I think of primary school, I imagine 8, 9, You
No.
know?
So primary school is usually from 7 to 13.
Okay.
So I would say from the range from 10 to 13 years old. But we didn't drive like on the road. We went into the mountains.
Okay.
So yeah, okay. So like I said, we go into the mountains early morning. We find like a nice hangout spot. We actually have a few spots now because we did it so many times. So we usually go to spots where there's like a river and like a place you can sit in the shade. So we will sit there, make a fire, then we'll cook some food, and just like the whole day you'll just spend it there, swim in the river, just like explore the mountains and find new spots. And I think that's really like special because that you can't do that everywhere. And it's like not a lot of people know about those places because you have to go so deep into the mountains to find it and find all the waterfalls and stuff. So I think, yeah, I really enjoyed that. I miss it actually, to be honest.
Maybe you will go this summer.
Yes.
So when I think of South Africa, I always think of safari. And I was wondering if you've done it before. And if yes, how was your experience?
Yeah, I've done it several times. It's awesome. Like, it is something you have to do because it's completely different than going to a zoo and see the animals and going on an actual safari and be in like their own habitat. That is just awesome. Like the place I went to, and this place is nationwide famous. People all around the world come to this place. It's called the Kruger National Wild Park. It's the most famous wild park in South Africa. It's massive. I can't tell you how big it is, but it is massive. So yeah, in the wild park we have the Big Five. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the Big Five.
Not really.
So the Big Five in South Africa is the lion, leopard, rhino, the elephant, and buffalo. So usually, so how they got the term Big Five is they took the top five most difficult animals to hunt, and that's how it got the term. But also interesting fact about the Big Five is it's every animal of the Big Five is on our notes, like our currency. So you'll see like the elephant on the 10 Rand bill and the leopard on the 200 Rand bill. So
Wow.
yeah.
That's really awesome.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that your parents are divorced. And you also talked about your town a little bit. But I was just wondering, which town do you like the most?
What town I like the most? That's
Yeah.
a difficult one. So like I said, I grew up in the Durrans. I would say I like that town the most because I grew up there, spent most of my life there. But Paul is also awesome because I basically spent 5-6 years there being in boarding school. So I also lived there. But I would say I enjoyed Durrans more.
And because you
Because
grew up there?
Just because I grew up there. Like I said, it's a small town, and I know like all of the people there, and like I love golf, as you know,
Yeah.
and like the golf course there is super fun, and just feels home.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So would you say it is as small as Creston, or is it bigger? Like, do you like Creston if you like small towns?
No, it's like it's also a small town, but it's completely different. So
Okay.
there's not much to do, but it's way more beautiful because like I said, we have vineyards
Yeah.
and stuff. So it's just the scenery is just way more beautiful, and like we have rivers and stuff. But yeah.
What do majority people do for a living in South Africa?
I would say definitely mining and like industry work, like construction.
Mhm.
Those two is definitely the most popular. Yeah.
What do most teenagers do for fun?
What we usually do is, I would say, like school is out on a Friday, we have a weekend for ourselves. I would say like we would come together. We would usually go to the beach, and we love to bodyboard, and we would go and bodyboard for the day. We would come back. We would also a big thing in South Africa is to braai. So braai is an open fire, and you cook your meat on the open fire, and it's just like it's really social because we all would just like sit around the fire. We would just like talk and like look at the sunset, and like while the sun is going down, we'll like cook meat. And then my friend group, we all love golf. Not everyone is like great at golf, but we just love it. So let's say on Fridays we would go and bodyboard. Saturdays we'll wake up, go and play a round of golf, and then Saturday night we'll just enjoy our own company. And I would say not that's it, but and like bikes. We love to like just go out and like ride bikes and that stuff. So I would say that's what we usually do, just like on an average weekend, just for some fun.
Do you hunt your own meat?
So I love to go hunt, to be honest. And yes, when we go hunt, we use our own meat, just because like we know it's our own meat, and like it's not that expensive to go and buy it in a shop, and it's like fresh and healthy. There's no other stuff in the meat, and it's also like an adventure just to go out in the nature and do your own thing and spend the day there.
So what do you hunt? What's your favorite thing?
I would say the most common thing to hunt in South Africa, a lot of people hunt it, everybody almost eats it, is springbok. That is also our national animal, if that makes sense. And then a lot of people also love to hunt the African buffalo. It's a bigger animal with obviously more meat, but I've never hunted that before. And then a lot of people actually ask me like, how is it to go and hunt, and like, do you hunt like lions and elephants and stuff like that? But my honest opinion is I would never do that, because I just don't see them as like animals you go and hunt. It's animals you go and look for and just like see how beautiful they are. And we don't eat lions or elephant or something like that.
So I was wondering if you can tell me about some of your favorite memories in South Africa.
Yes, some of my favorite memories. I would start with high school. My high school journey was awesome. Like I said, I was in an all-boys school, in the boarding school. And yeah, being in a boarding school with just boys around you, at first it was scary, I'm not gonna lie, because there's just boys younger, older than you. You feel, coming from a small school, going to a boarding school with like hundreds of kids in the building, using the same showers, toilets, all of that, was a bit frightening. But after like a few months, you became brothers, you became super close, and over the years you literally just build like a family bond. And I would say that was also memories, just my entire high school career. And then also a good memory is when I got the news that I can come and play golf in America. That was really exciting.
So I feel like I asked you a lot of questions. So do you want to play a little game?
Let's do it.
Okay. So I wrote them 4 facts here. And one of them is a lie. These facts are about South Africa. Okay. First fact. South Africa's drinking water is 3rd best in the world. Table Mountain is believed to be one of the oldest mountains. South Africa is a home to oldest meteor scar in the world. South Africa has young demographic. So, which one do you think is the lie?
Okay, it's between two. I think the media score and the young demographic.
Okay, but one of them is a lie.
Yeah,
so
I would say the
it
young
is?
demographic.
Yes!
Is that correct?
You're right. Good job.
Thanks.
Yes. That is actually a fun fact about Turkey, guys.
What is a fun fact about Turkey?
Turkey has a young demographic.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
Now, second round. First fact. One of the Christianity's oldest churches is in South Africa. South Africa is the largest producer of macadamia nuts. most luxurious train is in South Africa. Second largest fruit producer in the world is South Africa. And again, one of them is a lie.
Okay. So, okay, this is a difficult one. I would say the luxurious train is true
Mm-hmm.
because I know we have a pretty fancy train in South Africa. I think it's the green train.
I thought it was blue.
No, I think it's green.
You're probably right.
Yeah. Okay, so the train, I would say, is not a lie. Then the macadamia nuts, I have no idea because I think macadamia nuts is super expensive in South Africa. And if we were really popular for having macadamia nuts, it would not be that expensive. So I would say that may be a lie. And what's the other two again?
Second largest fruit producer in the world.
Okay.
And one of the Christianity's oldest churches is in South Africa.
I would say that because I think like Europe is obviously way older than South Africa.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say the church is one of the oldest. I mean, is the lie.
Yes, good job.
Correct.
I see you.
Nice.
Yes, and again, that is a fun fact about Turkey. So, good job.
Does Turkey have one of the oldest Christian churches?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, didn't know that.
Now you know. Okay, well, that was fun.
Yeah.
And good job for answering the correct answers twice.
Thanks.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, that last one, I didn't really know about that.
Yeah, well, okay. So, let's get back to the questions now. I heard that there is a country in South Africa which is called Lesotho.
Yeah, well done.
Thank you. So, that's very interesting to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm pretty sure that our viewers also will be interested about you telling us a little bit about it. What's the reason that there's a country in your country?
So yeah, that's a pretty good question. I can't give you a full answer because I don't know much about it. But what I know is that back in the day, it was called Basotho and not Lesotho. And Lesotho wanted to be a country or like a big community on its own, and they didn't want to be part of the South African government. And over the years, it happened, and they formed their own country.
Mm-hmm.
I think they still use like the South African like currency,
Yeah.
but they got their own set of rules and laws.
So, if you want to go in that country, do you need visa or something, or can you just go in like it's...
Yeah, you can just go. It's literally, I don't know if the listeners are familiar with Lesotho or South Africa, but you can see the country is literally inside of South Africa.
Yeah.
So you can just drive through it.
Okay, so, and they have a different government.
Yes.
So they have their own rules.
Yeah, it would probably like be the same. Not like the same, but it's not like a
Similar.
massive difference.
Yeah.
Because it's in South Africa, so it can't be that
Mhm.
much different.
Yeah. Okay. So this might be a little deep question, but what are some problems in South Africa that you wish to solve?
Some problems that I can solve. So we are a third world country, and the crime rate in South Africa is really, really high, and unemployment is a really big thing. And I would love to change that, but don't know how.
Yeah, maybe in the future.
Maybe.
Never cut your hopes. Am I right?
Yeah.
What are some cultural values of your country?
So cultural values. So South Africa is really rich for their cultural values. Some fun fact is that we have 11 different languages in South Africa.
Wow.
I
Can you
would
speak it all?
no, I
Why
wish,
not?
but because it's 11.
I'm just kidding.
But I would say like the main language would be English. I speak Afrikaans, that is a South African language.
Can you maybe tell us a bit sentence?
Yeah. Hallo, my naam is Thomas Esterhuyse. Ek is van Suid-Afrika. Ek is 20 jaar oud. Ek raak 21 in Januarie. En ja, ek het 'n omelet gehad vir ontbyt vanmôre. So basically what I said is, I'm Thomas Esterhuyse, my last name. I'm from South Africa, turning 21 end of January, and I had an omelette for breakfast.
Nice.
Yes, that's what I said.
Thank you. Okay.
Oh, wait, I'm not done yet. Sorry.
Yeah, I
Okay,
know.
so it's about the languages. Then so I don't know if you're familiar with Desmond Tutu. He's
Not
like
at
a popular icon in South Africa. He actually passed away a few weeks ago, and he named not named South Africa, but he said South Africa is the rainbow nation with all the different cultures we have. And I just think the rainbow nation is a perfect word to describe our cultures and all the races and all of that. So yeah.
Well, that's really awesome. Is there any other languages that you can speak other than English and Afrikaans?
I can speak a bit of Xhosa. That is also another South African language.
Well, I want to hear it.
Okay.
You can say the same things you said, so we know what you're saying.
Okay. Molo Kunjani, Salani Kakushle, Hi Bobo. So I just said like, hello, how are you doing? You must have a safe walk, or like walk safely back, or you know what, when you greet someone you just be like, be safe. And then I basically said like, no bueno at the end.
No bueno, my friend. So, can you define your traditions for me a little?
Yeah. So I would say a big thing that I want to say almost everybody does in South Africa is, like rugby is a really big thing in South Africa, and the previous World Cup we won. So what we do a lot of the times, doesn't matter if you like man, woman, if you're young or old, everyone would come together on a Saturday, and like I mentioned before, the braai, like the open fire. So we'll come together, put on the TV, like turn on the TV, put on the rugby, and we'll all just come together, have a few drinks, non-alcoholic, obviously, and then
This is a safe place. It's okay.
yes, and then we'll just like cook some meat, watch the game with our family, and it's just like super social because the love we have for rugby and our families and everything, we come together, and like you can even go to bars. The rugby's if the Springboks, that's our national team, if they are playing, everyone watches it. It's on every TV. It is just super popular.
Mm-hmm. So, you lived in the USA for a while now,
Yeah.
and I was wondering if you can tell me some differences between the States and South Africa. Some main differences.
Some main differences. First thing that came to mind is I came to America in January of 2020.
So a year ago.
Yes.
Wow.
Basically exactly a year ago. And January in South Africa is like summertime, especially where I'm from. It's super hot.
Mhm.
And when I came here, obviously not summer, and there was like snow on the ground and it was freezing. So that's one thing. It doesn't get that cold in South Africa, not that cold at all. Another big thing, this is something stupid, but like it's just funny for me, is like the notes where you go, well, like you guys, not you guys, in America there's like a $1 bill and like a $5 bill.
Yeah.
In South Africa we have like a 10 rand. That's like the lowest bill you get, but with 10 rand you can't buy much. Okay, I know with the $1 bill you also can't, but it's just like funny because with the 200 rand bill in South Africa you also can't do much, and that's basically equal to like $13 in America. So I would say like having the dollars in my hand just feels funny, and yeah, those two came to mind first.
So what's the currency difference?
I think at the moment it's like for $1 it equals to like 16 rand something. Yeah.
Is that a lot?
Yeah, it can get expensive.
Mm.
Yeah,
Well,
it can get real expensive actually.
You do work study here, right?
Oh yeah, the work study helps me out a lot.
Are you planning to save your dollars and spend it back home?
Yeah, that's actually exactly what my plan is. So, like you mentioned, the work study, I try and not spend the money I make here. And
Mhm.
when I go to South Africa, just planning on using my Iowa State savings card. And I think that's just going to help me a lot, and everything's going to be like cheaper if I
Yeah.
pay in dollars.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, I have 2 more questions left for you. And then I have a surprise for my viewers.
For your listeners.
Yeah. For my listeners. They don't. Yeah. Anyway, are you ready?
Yeah.
What do you find difficult living in South Africa?
What I found difficult living in South Africa. What do I find difficult? I would say like the crime rate. Like it's over here, it's not bad at all.
Yeah.
And when you're in South Africa, you can't just like walk freely at night, just like how you want to, and
Mm-hmm.
not look over your shoulder.
Yeah.
It sounds like, yeah, that is how it is.
Mm-hmm.
And also a big thing is like most houses got fencing around their house, and over here there's like no houses with fencing
Yeah.
because we need it to like so that people don't break in or intrude or something.
Mhm. So do you carry blades or knives with you?
No, not me. No.
No, because like back home is also not the safest place, I'd say. But some people carry blades in their wallet in case if someone like attacks you, you're just like ready to defend yourself.
No, I would say like majority of the people who carry blades is the people that's causing the damage.
Gotcha. So it's not like guns and stuff, just
No.
okay.
No, there is people, but like it's not like everyone walks around with guns.
Yeah.
It's not like that.
Yeah, that would not be the safest place. Okay, my last question for you.
Okay.
What is something that you want our listeners to know about South Africa? What's a stereotype that everyone thinks it's true, but it's actually not?
Okay.
Like, can you enlighten us for a little?
First thing is that there is not lions walking on the streets. That is what I want to say, because everyone thinks there's lions on the streets. It's definitely not
true.
like that. That's one. The other thing that I want people to know is like in Cape Town, we have a mountain in the middle of the city called Table Mountain, and it's one of the oldest mountains in the world. It's also a natural world wonder. That's one.
awesome.
And then in South Africa, you can either swim in the Indian Ocean or the Atlantic Ocean, because it's like South Africa is at the bottom and both oceans join the country.
So thank you so much for answering my questions, Tom. I really appreciate it. And now we have a guest with us. Also, another student from South Africa. Yes.
Yes.
And Marco with us today. Hi, Marco.
What's up, D? How are you?
I'm really good, thank you. How are you?
I'm good, thanks.
Can you speak a little louder, please?
I'm good, thank you.
Thank you. So, we are going to play a little trivia today. And there's a little horn. Is that what you call it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to ask you questions. There's 10 questions about South Africa. And whoever clicks it first gets a chance to answer first. And we'll see how it goes. So first question. President Nelson Mandela was imprisoned on which island for 18 years?
Robben Island.
Yes, that is correct, Tom.
Thank you.
Second question. Durban, the busiest port in South Africa, is on which ocean?
Indian Ocean.
Correct.
Oh.
Which country is surrounded by South Africa?
Namibia. What countries are surrounded by South Africa?
Wrong. Marco.
Lesotho.
Correct. Which writer was the first to be awarded the Booker Prize for 2 times?
You can buzz that one.
I have no idea.
Same.
J.M. Coetzee.
Okay.
Have you heard of him before?
Yeah, I recognize the name.
Next question. Table Mountain is a flat-topped mountain overlooking which city?
I think both of us can just say
Yeah,
this.
Cape Town.
Correct. Good job, guys. So it's 2-2 right now. Next question. Who was the leader of South Africa from 1978 to 1989?
F.W. de Klerk.
Wrong.
Oh, is it Mandela?
Nah, I think he was in the clunk then.
Well, let's figure it out. Let's say the date again.
78.
To 89.
So that's like, what, 11 years? Nelson Mandela.
Wrong. It's P.W. Botha.
Oh, P.W. Botha.
Botha?
Yes.
How do you say his name? So our listeners can know it better.
Let's see.
P.W. Botha.
Yeah.
Can you say it closer?
P.W.
Wait, you can't say the
Botha.
other answers. No way you just did that. Name of the longest river in South Africa.
Oh, God.
I'm gonna guess. Orange River.
Yes, my friend, you are correct. The largest city in South Africa.
I know.
Johannesburg.
Correct.
That's what I said.
I didn't know that.
Which South African won the Nobel Prize in 1984?
Nelson Mandela.
Wrong.
Desmond Tutu.
Correct. I see you, Tom. Look at you. Okay, last question. So what is it right now? 5-3? No.
Something like that. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I thought there's 10 questions. If it's 5-3, it's 8, and we have one more, it's 9.
Yeah, but that question,
Oh, wait,
Cape
6.
Town, you did
okay.
both. What was the original historical name for the Cape of Good Hope?
What was the original?
Historical name for the Cape of Good Hope. 5.
No.
No, you're not allowed to count.
We are gonna get it.
5.5. Wait, why am I going up?
Does it start with a P?
I don't know. It's
Some-
Cape
something
of blah blah blah.
Oh, Good Hope.
No, she said the historical name of Cape of Good Hope. I also want, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um,
So it's again, it's
This is
something
on you.
Cape of
This is on
dot dot
you.
dot.
yeah. Can you just
5.
give me one hint, one more?
Cape of blah blah blah.
Yes, you said that, but,
But there's only one word.
oh,
5, 4,
Cape of
3,
I got no idea. I'm out.
2,
what is it?
1. No. Cape of Storms.
I did
No,
not
I actually
know
didn't know
I
that.
had no idea.
Tom and Marco, it's been a lot of fun. Thank you for being here today with me.
Thank you for having us.
Thank
Of
you.
course, of course. Also, thank you so much to our listeners for listening to our very first episode of Who Is With You Today. Join us next time when I will be talking to a student from Germany. And don't forget to check out Civic social media to see when the next episode is released. Thank you so
Yes.
much. See you guys later. Bye.
Nice.
Adios. How do you say bye in
Tot ziens.
Tot ziens.
Tot ziens?
Nice.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Adios.
Bye.